Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Changes for Kirsten. Chapter 4, Old Jack. We set these new beaver traps downstream, Kirsten said as she and Laura set out to stream a few days later. I've seen beaver dams there. Near their dams is a good place to trap them. Good idea, Lars said. He pulled a big toboggan piled with traps he prepared. I say we give it a try. I say we do too, Kirsten said. Her hands and feet tingled in the cold afternoon, but she wanted to be as hopeful and determined as Lars. Today, John was checking the old trap line by himself so Lars and Kirsten could set traps for a new one. They were working extra hard because soon spring would come and the trapping season would be over. The Stewarts needed money for their move to Oregon. The Larses needed a lot of money for a new home. So the children needed all the furs they could possibly trap, and there was no time to waste. As Kirsten and Lars walked along the stream, Kirsten looked for trails of bubbles frozen in the ice. Beavers made the bubbles when they swam under the ice from their nests to shore. Each time Kirsten found a bubble trail, Lars dug a hole in the ice and lowered a trap in the water. The next time a beaver came this way, it would swim into their trap. But there weren't as many bubble trails along this part of the stream as they'd hoped. When dusk came, they still had several traps left to set. We still have to take these traps home with us, Laura said. We can't stay out any longer. It will be dark soon. But look, Lars, here's a great spot, Kirsten said. Right at her feet, a trail of bubbles came to the back. Let's just set one more trap before we go back. Lars chopped a hole in the ice with his pick. Kirsten lowered the trap through the hole and into the water. As they turned back to the toboggan, an owl swooped over their heads. Lars peered after the owl and frowned. Kirsten, if the owls are out, it's even later than I thought. We have to hurry home. The owl's oot made Kirsten tremble. She heard stories about settlers who were caught in the woods at night. In this cold, she and Lars could freeze to death, or a wolf might get them. Let's run, Lars, she said. It's hard to run in snowshoes, Lars said. Maybe we could take a shortcut through the woods. Kirsten said that would be faster than following the stream. I think if we follow the North Star, we'll find the farm. Come on, let's go. In a short time, they were away from the stream and into the deep woods. Lars kept his eye on the North Star and led the way. There was no trail to follow, and it was hard to pull the toboggan. It's going to be dark soon. I wish we had a lantern, Kirsten said. Then she spotted the snowshoe tracks in the snow. Lars, look, she cried. Someone's made a trail here. Lars crouched down to study the track. These look like they were made with old-fashioned snowshoes. I bet they're old Jack's. John told me that old Jack lives somewhere in these part of the woods. If this is old Jack's trail, we're in luck. Why? Kirsten asked. Because we can follow the trail to where he lives, that's why, Lars said. He'll lend us a lantern, I'm sure of it. Old Jack sounds spooky to me, Kirsten said. I'm scared of him. Are you more scared of old Jack or of losing our way in the woods? Lars said. Again, the owl hooted, and now there were faint howls that might be coyotes or wolves. Kirsten hugged herself. I'm scared of losing our way, she said in a very small voice. Let's follow these tracks and see if we can find old Jack, Lars said. He took the lead as they turned on the snowshoe trail. The trail led them to a ravine. As the ravine got more and more narrow. Rocky bluffs rose on both sides like walls. There was no room for a cabin there. Then Kirsten spotted a rough plank set in the rocks. It almost looked like a door. Firewood was stacked by it. She pointed. Look, she said, there's a door. There must be a cave behind it. Someone's made a home in a cave. It's got to be old Jack's, Lord said. But Jack's not here. She said, look, there's no smoke coming out of his chimney. Even if he's not here, we can borrow a lantern, Lars said. If old Jack wasn't in the cave, she'd have to be scared, Kirsten thought. She followed Lars. Drifted snow piled against the door. It didn't look like anyone had been through that door for several days. Lars knocked. No one answered. He rattled the latch. The door's on latch, Lars said. He shoved at the boards with both hands, but the door didn't give. Come on, Kirsten. Help me get this door open. Kirsten ducked under Lars's arms and put her shoulder against the planks. 1, 2, 3, push, Lars said. They both shoved as hard as they could. The door creaked and then suddenly swung in. Kirsten was pushing so hard she fell on her knees outside the cave. Lars tumbled in against her. For a moment she couldn't see anything at all. And then, right in front of her, she made out a man sitting out against the rocky wall. He was dressed in leather and he was looking right at them. At first, Kirsten couldn't hold her breath. Then she screamed. She scrambled to her feet and started to run. Lars grabbed her shoulders. Kirsten, don't run. He won't hurt us. He will hurt us, Kirsten cried. Lars shook her to make her be still. Kirsten, he can't hurt us. He couldn't hurt anyone, even if he wanted to. Old Jack's dead. Kirsten peeked around Lars at the man sitting stiffly on the floor. His face was white. There was no cloud of breath at his lips. His eyes were glazed over. Lars was right. The man was dead. Oh, Lars, what do we do now? Kirsten whispered. Lars took a deep breath. We'll find his flint and light a lantern. Then we'll think what to do. Lars found the lantern, and Kirsten found the flint by the fire hole. She struck the flint stone until sparks set a bit of hay. Then Lars lit the wick of the lantern. In the flickering light, they could see old Jack better. He was an old man with a white beard and rough hands. His pants and jacket were deerskin. He made Kirsten think of an animal of the forest. A fox, maybe. Poor old Jack, she said. Lars pulled old Jack's fur cap down over the dead man's eyes. Rest in peace, old Jack, he said. Rest in peace, Kirsten repeated after Lars. How do you think old Jack died? Kirsten asked. He was an old man, Lars said slowly. He probably sat down to rest and his heart stopped beating. And after a while, the fire burned out and his body froze. Kirsten couldn't stop trembling. Let's take the lantern and go home. Let's get away from here. We're much, much safer in this cave than we are in the woods, Lars said. Let's look around. Kirsten was frightened, but Lars seemed sure of himself. She stayed by his side as he found a tin cup, an iron pot, a skinning knife, and a few stretches of boards with mink and marten pellets on them. Then Lars lifted the lantern high so they could see the back of the cave. At first, Kirsten saw were Indian blankets on a pile of straw. Then she made out a stack of furs piled all the way up to the roof of the cave. Lars drew a deep breath. Look at that, Kirsten. Look at all those pellets. Old Jack's trapped twice as many pellets as we have, and all of them are the finest fur. He struck one of the meat pellets. He was the first trapper around here, and that's for sure. There aren't any more like him. Kirsten looked at old Jack's body. John said old Jack doesn't have any family at all. No, he was alone in the world, Lars said. What will happen to old Jack's body? Kirsten said. I wish Papa was here to tell us what to do. I know Papa's always right, Lars said. He took off his woolen cap and stretched his hand, and he bit his lower lip. Kirsten, do you know what Papa would tell us? What, Lars? He'd say that we'd have to bury old Jack, that's what Lars said. But we can't bury old Jack, Kirsten said. We can't dig him in a grave while the ground is frozen. Then we'll have to come back and bury him in the spring, Lars said. Papa would never leave a body unburied. I know that. He paced back and forth as he thought. Do you know what else Papa would tell us? Kirsten shook her head. Papa would say that if old Jack doesn't have any kin, then his things belong to whoever finds them. And we found them. Kirsten plopped on the three-legged stool by the fire hole. Do you mean they're ours like finders keepers? No, it's not like finders keepers. If old Jack were alive and we found something he'd lost, we would make sure to give it back to him. But he's dead and gone. And we can't give him back these furs. We can't give him anything but a proper burial. He doesn't even have a family to do that. Kirsten looked again at old Jack, then at the big stack of furs. Are you sure Papa would say old Jack's things are ours? She asked. I'm sure, Lars said. Even all his furs? Kirsten asked again. Even his furs, Lars said firmly. Oh, Lars, Kirsten breathed. These furs are worth a lot of money. That's what I'm thinking, Kirsten. I'm thinking how much money we need now. Old Jack's furs might even be worth enough to buy the steward's house. Kirsten rested her chin on her hand. She wanted to be glad about the furs, but she felt tears ran over her eyes. Lars, it's dark and with no moon. Even with a lantern, I don't know if we could find our way home. And it's bitter cold. How take so many furs with us? Lars was pilot kindling and split wood. He lit a fire and knelt beside her. Don't cry, Kirsten. I have a plan. Just listen to me. Kirsten scrubbed her cheeks. Lars could always make a plan, she thought. If she had to be lost in the woods, she was glad she was with her big brother. First, Lars said, it's much too dangerous to try to get home in the dark. Second, we're safe here from the cold and from the wolves. We have to stay until it's light. Third, in the morning, we'll load the pelts into our toboggan and follow the stream home. Still, Kirsten was troubled. But what about old Jack? We still have to bury him, especially if we're going to take his furs. Of course we'll do right by old Jack, Lars said. For now, we'll cover him with a blanket. In the morning, before we leave, we'll pile stones against the door so animals can't get in. When Papa comes back in the spring, the ground will be thawed. Papa and I will dig old Jack a grave. We'll bury him, and Papa will say burying prayers. Kirsten rocked back and forth on those tools. Lars, it's a good plan, but I don't want to stay the whole night in this cave with the dead man. When Lars folded his arms, he looked just like Papa delivering a lecture. Old Jack was a good man and his soul is in heaven. There's nothing to be scared of. He set a thick log on the fire. Now we've got to get some rest. I'll keep watch and you lie down in the blanket and sleep. Kirsten shivered, but she did as Lars said. She lay down on the blanket and drew her knees up under her chin. She closed her eyes tightly and tried to sleep, but she was already as wide awake as if morning had come already. Lars, she whispered. Are you thinking about old Jack? Lars said. I'm thinking how scared Mama will be when we don't come home tonight. Kirsten said, Mama knows we can find shelter, Lars said. Remember once you and Papa hid in a cave during a snowstorm. Go to sleep now. Kirsten didn't think she would sleep. How could she? But when she opened the eyes, a light of morning showed light around the door. An Indian blanket covered old Jack's body. Potato roasted in the coals of the fire. And Lars was already tying the furs into bundles to load into the toboggan. Get yourself up, Lars cried. We've got to take these furs home to Mama. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.